I once started an Amazon FBA business and I lost over $11,000. Now I'm not telling you this to get Symphony. I'm telling you that in order to get rich, right, you're gonna do a lot of mistakes in the process. There's a saying, to make your first $10,000, you're gonna burn through $1,000. To make your first $100,000, you're gonna burn through $10,000. In order to make $1 million, you're gonna burn through $100,000. That $11,000 loss, yeah, I don't really see it as a loss. I see it more of a cheap learning experience on my journey of becoming rich. And for you guys that are very curious, I'll let you guys know at the end of the video what business it was that failed when I tried doing the Amazon FBA business model. Now, there's a couple different reasons why my Amazon FBA business failed. I don't really want to get into nitty gritty, but basically, long story short, I was on TikTok, I was scrolling, and I saw that there was this like Amazon FBA millionaire driving this Lamborghini, and I was like, damn, I want to be like him. And then I found out he was an Amazon FBA, so I rushed to find a product to sell on Amazon, and yeah, I flopped. And also, on the other hand, I was juggling a whole bunch of other business models, so I had like shiny object syndrome. So I really wasn't focused, dialed in on wanting to make this work. I just wanted to get a get rich quick scheme. And it really doesn't work out like that in this game of business. And if you've been following me long enough, you probably know that I don't run an Amazon FBA business today. I own a social media marketing agency. Now, it's very interesting that I reflect back. The reason why I run a social media marketing agency today instead of this Amazon FBA business was because I was very immature back then. Because I was very immature, I had this shiny object syndrome, right? If I saw something didn't work in 2 weeks, I would move into a different business model, different business model, different business model. And I decided after switching like 10 different business models, I gotta double down on something, right? I can't just continue to change. And that's how I ended up with running a social media marketing agency, right? But if I had a mature mindset back then, I'd probably be running a successful Amazon FBA business today, right? There really isn't a right or wrong business model. They all work, right? You just gotta be very consistent, right? Learn from your failures and improve and iterate, and that's how you get rich, successful with that one business model, right? They all work. There's dropshipping millionaires, right? There's Amazon FBA millionaires out there. There's SMA millionaires. They all work. You just gotta be consistent. And like I said, right, I had a shiny object syndrome. There was one point I was like, enough is enough. I'm gonna double down on SMMA, right? That's a business model that I just happened to choose. And because I was consistent, I didn't give up after every failure, I can now say I make tens of thousands of dollars a month, or I'm in the 1% income demographic, and I'm so close to getting $100,000 a month, which I will probably get to by the end of the year. And the reason I'm successful with my business model is because I chose to be consistent, to not give up when times get hard, right? Because we all go through different stages. We go through uninformed optimism when we see a new business model, like, oh my God, that guy's rich with that business model, let's start it. Once you start it, you realize it's not as easy as it looks, right? You don't get the full picture. Then you go through this like pessimism stage. You're like, God damn, this business model sucks, right? But if you actually pull through those hard times, things will get better. Times will get better. So hear me out. If you're going through an investment gone wrong, or just something's not going right with your business, just know that in business, you either win or you learn. You never lose. Now, for many of you, this lesson, and the reason why I'm so grateful to this over $11,000 loss on this Amazon FBA product was because it helped me realize that not everything's gonna work out perfectly. There are gonna be some hiccups every once in a while, and just that's a game of business. You can't win all of them. You're gonna lose some, right? But as long as you're consistent, you will win. I look at these lessons of like this loss as a massive learning lesson. Why? Because it opened up my eyes, right? At that moment, I was sad. I won't lie to you. I lost a lot of money. I lost all my savings, actually. And a lot of time of finding out this product. But I look at it as a learning lesson. Yes, I lost a lot of money, but that was the foundation to my success. Why, you may ask? Because it taught me one of the most important lessons in business. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. Successful people, it's not that they don't fail, right? They failed way more times than you. That's the reason why they're successful. And they kept going. And here's the truth most people miss when it comes to building a successful business. The only way to really figure out what works and what doesn't work is by doing the things that don't work, right? Learning through trial and error. Every failure teaches you exactly what not to do, right? It gives you clarity on what you actually gotta do. Obviously, there's a fast route. If you have money, you can get mentors, get books, get courses, a bunch of YouTube content out there that teaches you from other people's mistakes. That way you learn from them. But really, in order to get really a feel of like what works, what doesn't work, is just you falling. right? You tripping and falling. Yes, it tell you like for example, I used to be an alcoholic drinker. For example, I used to drink and drive a lot. I know this isn't really relevant to building a business, but just work with me here for a second. I used to drink and drive a lot. My parents always told me, oh, do not drink and drive, do not drink and drive. Like, that's dumb, don't do that, don't do that. I was arrogant, I was young. Whereas one day I couldn't, I guess, yeah, I was fucked, and I flipped in my vehicle. It was a dark period of my life. Although I knew I shouldn't drink and drive, it just happened to me that I had to flip in order to learn the lesson that you cannot drink and drive. You have to trip and fall in order to really understand why you should not drink and drive. Oh, okay, obviously I don't want to preach drink and drive and doing that, but you get the idea, right? When it comes to building a business, in order to understand what success feels like, you must understand what failure feels like. So you have that contrast, right? And you appreciate the good times because you know how dark the bad times were. And going back to my drinking and driving incident, I do not drink and drive anymore, guys. I stopped drinking altogether in the meantime, right, to build a successful business, right? I learned that lesson the hard way, and it was a huge financial loss as well, right? It was like a $50,000 loss because I totaled my vehicle. I sent a couple buddies of mine to the emergency room. It was bad, but I'm very grateful for that $50,000 loss. Why? Because it opened my eyes up. I was like, shit, I gotta get my shit together, and I'm grateful that I'm still alive, like speaking to you guys. Like I said, sometimes in life and in business, you have to learn from those hard times. That's really the only way to learn, right? From tripping and falling. And that's the reason why I'm super grateful for these like losses that I have in my business. This is one of many losses that I've had throughout my entrepreneurial journey, businessman journey. I take them now as a massive learning lesson, a cheap learning lesson. This is only $11,000. Imagine if I don't know, built a whole bunch of different factories, gone at scale with a different product, right? It could have been much worse. Maybe it could have been hundreds of $1,000s, right? $11,000 is cheap in the long run. Now we know what works, what doesn't work when it comes to building a product from scratch, right? This is a massive, cheap learning lesson. That's how I look at everything now. Losses, and you should too. With every loss, every bad month, look at it as a learning experience. All right, I know I've been yapping all day. Yeah, a lot of you guys are probably very curious, like, Raul, what was the product that you built that failed for you? Well, they were writing cards. You know, it was very interesting. Like I said, I was on TikTok. I was scrolling. I saw this Amazon FBA multi-millionaire. I was looking at his YouTube content. I was like, damn. I was very impulsive. I was like, damn, I want to build an Amazon FBA business. And the route I took, there's really only two routes you can take when it comes to Amazon FBA business. For you guys, I'm not sure what Amazon FBA means. It basically means like you put a product on Amazon, okay, whether it's like a retail product, like a wholesaler, you're selling like, I don't know, like soap or I don't know, like these type of drinks, right? You can sell really anything on Amazon, and they do all the delivery for you, all like the messy process of delivering this, the fulfillment part of it, right? So there are really two routes you can take. One, like you sell like established products, you get them for cheaper. It's kind of like retail arbitrage. You get them for cheaper and you sell them more expensive on Amazon. Amazon does all the heavy lifting for you. The other way you can do it is you build a product from scratch. And that's what I took. I built a product from scratch. I did a quick analysis of like what was lacking on Amazon, and it was a very rushed analysis. That's the reason why I lost so much money, and was a big learning lesson for me. But after like 2 days of like analyzing, I was like, yeah, I gotta build wedding cards. I contacted a factory in China. Actually, I contacted a couple different factories in China. I was getting measurements. I told them what I wanted. I hired out a camera crew out there to take photos of my product. I did a whole bunch of different things. I got barcodes to be able to ship this to the USA, and so I learned a whole bunch about building a product from scratch. That was a very interesting learning experience. I don't look at it as a complete loss, because I had to learn how to build a product from scratch. I contact factories, build it from scratch, get to measurements, make sure it's I obviously export it to the USA. So I came up with wedding cards. If you want to see quickly, these are the wedding cards. Yeah, they're like wedding cards, like, and like, to be honest, guys, like, there's a lot of reasons why my product failed. Obviously, the biggest one is like I didn't do a lot of my due diligence on really what works, what doesn't work. But I think really it's just like nobody wants to get married. I don't want to get married. So it was like a product that it was like a 50-50 chance for me that it was gonna work, and obviously it didn't work out, sadly. But it was a massive learning experience, like I said, right? Nobody wants to get married, and now I know. Now, don't get me wrong, I did sell quite a few of these wedding cards on Amazon. The only issue I had was so when it comes to Amazon, in order to really like amplify your listing, you gotta do PPC, right? You pay Amazon for like every click. So I was basically running ads on this product, but it was costing me more right, than the actual selling of the product. I guess it cost me more to acquire a client than the product actually was. It just wasn't make sense, right? I was selling this product for like, I think it was like something like 30 bucks. And in order to get a sale with ads, with shipping, with everything that was charging me, I think it was costing like 34 bucks. So I was losing like $4 every sale. I was selling, this thing we're selling like hotcakes, but I was losing a lot. I was trying to do promos, whatever. It just didn't make sense. I know if I would have continued to add it, I'll probably have found a cheaper source, or probably would have maybe got it cheaper, and maybe I could have maybe found a way to make this work, right? But just like, it was very impulsive back in the day, right? Now that I realize that, like, if I wanted to, I can obviously, like, maybe with everything I've learned now, and build a better product. But again, we're going back to the shiny object syndrome, right? I'm already successful at SMMA, right? Why go freaking experiment something else when something already works, right? Every business model works. You just gotta be very consistent. You can't give up, right? You can't give up. And this is a massive learning experience for me now, right? I know I can't be impulsive anymore, right? Because like, it could have devastating consequences. Before I forget, one more thing on why this product actually failed is because I couldn't compete with the established brands in the industry, right? There was already a whole bunch of listings on Amazon of like industry titans that were in the wedding niche, okay? I couldn't compete with these guys. These guys had a massive following on social medias, a massive brand, a whole bunch of good reviews, right? I didn't understand the importance of brand. I was like, oh, they're doing it, why can't I, right? I didn't understand the brand element to this. And like I said, these learning experiences, I brought them over to SMMA. All right, I knew from the get-go that brand was a massive thing, even with building a social media marketing agency, right? When it comes to getting people to pay for my marketing services, I entered that industry, the SMMA world, with that in mind. I gotta build a brand, and to this day, I've been very successful with it, right? Because I entered with this power knowledge that brand is everything, right? And this has helped me tremendously when it comes to growing my marketing agency. For you guys that probably don't know what SMMA is, I feel like I'm just dabbling throughout this video. SMMA stands for Social Media Marketing Agency. That's what I currently run. That's what I guess my claim to fame, right? What I'm doing with my man, how I'm earning money. I basically offer marketing services to business to help them get more sales. They pay me a monthly retainer. In return, it's like a win-win scenario. They get more sales, I get a monthly retainer. So that's kind of what I do, right? But yeah, I've incorporated the brand element with my business, right? When it comes to creating content, so people see me as like an authority figure, right, in the marketing space. Now look, I know I've been saying take everything as a learning lesson, but like, I can't lie to you guys, I'm obviously pissed off as well. I freaking lost $11,000. That's literally all I had to my name during that period of my life. I told everybody I was gonna get rich off this product. You know how embarrassing that was? Having to go back with my parents and live with them because this thing flopped, or telling everybody they were brokies. Oh my god. Okay, but like I said, now that I reflect back, it is a massive learning lesson. I'm very grateful for that learning lesson. Although it freaking stings, all that money I learned during that period of time. I could have used that money for better things. But you know, you learn, you win some, you lose some, and you never lose, right? You learn some. And don't get me wrong, I still make foolish mistakes, right? No one's perfect, right? On your rise to becoming a millionaire, you're gonna make a lot of dumb mistakes in the process, right? I make tens of thousands of dollars right now, right? I'm on track to make $100,000 a month by the end of the year, right? I still make a lot of foolish mistakes, right? I'm supposed to be the expert in ads, right? Running ads, marketing for my clients, right? When it comes to getting clients for my business, I run ads, right? Let people know I exist, but sometimes there's times that I do some dumb mistakes when it comes to my ads where I lose like $10,000, because I spend a lot of money on ads to acquire clients. Sometimes where I'm like, damn, I thought I'd turn off the ad, but I never turn it off, and like, boom, it's been running for like a couple weeks now. I'm like, yeah, these are your lessons that you learn, right? It helps me be more like careful, right, with everything I do now, right? Like, you're always gonna make these dumb mistakes. Now I remind you that old saying. Remember, to make your first $10,000, you're gonna lose $1,000 in the process. You're gonna burn through them. To make your first $100,000, you're gonna burn through $10,000 in the process. To make your first million, right, you're gonna burn through like $100,000 in the process. It's just part of the game, guys. That's how I look at it now. Yes, they freaking hurt this thing. You could probably do way better things with that money, right? Maybe you wanna punch yourself in the face, torture yourself because of dumb mistakes you've done, probably investments or whatever it is, but it's part of the game. This is the process of getting rich. So I hope with all my heart that you fail a lot in your business, that you lose a lot of money, but I also hope that you learn from those experiences. That's the way to get rich.